It was approaching 11 o'clock at night, and I was playing my guitar on the porch here. And it was a quiet night. The lake was as calm as glass, no wind. It was just a beautiful night, and I was playing my acoustic guitar with a special tuning that makes the guitar sound like a sitar. And so, and there was a droning, which is what the tuning does, and that was obviously carrying on the lake. And all of a sudden, I heard this tremendous splash. Like nothing I had ever heard before on the lake here. I mean, I've heard bass jump and slap down. This was much, much larger of a splash. So I knew that this was most likely Champ, because I couldn't imagine what else it could have been. So I went into the camp and I grabbed my flashlight, and there was a camera right next to it, which I put around my neck. And this was 1993, so it wasn't the cell phone era. This was one of those cameras where you had to take the film to the pharmacy, you know, to be developed. And so I started working my way down with my flashlight. So I was walking down this path. It used to be a path instead of stairs, and I'm walking down with my flashlight, and I couldn't see anything because it's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm just focusing on getting down there. And so I get to the bottom, and I ended up over here in these boulders, which is where the path ended. And now at night, when you shine a flashlight out, you don't see anything unless you actually hit something like a boat on a mooring, or it illuminates the boat. Or we had a swimming raft. If you hit a swimming raft with the flashlight, it illuminates the raft. So you could see that very well. The first thing I noticed when I shined the light out was right at about 40 feet away was this humongous creature. And if I put my fingers together to show the size of the neck, it doesn't do it justice. It would have been much, much bigger. And then there was a head, which was also quite large. And the eye was illuminated by the flashlight. The eye was about this big. And so it was quite a striking creature. And it was looking at me. It was as if it had maybe heard my guitar playing and was curious, did a humongous splash, and just waited for me to come down the path. And there it was. And it was moving very, very gently, without any kind of motion in the water. It was moving this way, and then maybe 10, 15 feet that way. And then as I was following it that way, I noticed that same color eye, which was like a yellowish green. I noticed another one very, very close to the water, and it was very small, but it was the same color. And sure enough, there was a baby with it. So I assumed this was the mother. That's the baby. Now, while the mother was very graceful in the water, and I noticed no motion, and yet it was moving very slowly, and the baby was doing this, trying to kind of keep up. And it was very cute, the little baby. And I did notice flickers. coming off of either side. So it was a little neck with a head and a little tiny eye, same greenish yellow color, and went into the water, and I noticed flippers. I didn't see any of the body from the mother. The mother had turned around when I was looking at the baby and was now going back the other direction, and it was just sitting there sizing me up and looking at me and taking in everything that it could find out about me. And then I went and looked at the baby again, and again it was trying to kind of keep up with the mother. And then when I went back, the mother had turned around. Every time I looked at the baby, the mother would turn around. So we just looked at each other for the longest time. And it started at 11 o'clock. And every time I looked at the baby, the mother would turn around and be going the other way, looking at me with its big eye. Now I remember the look in its eye was kind of scary. I remember it looked very much like a survivor. It looked very serious about survival, and it was not cute. It had bumps on its face, kind of like a bulldog would have, and then the nose had a little dip to it at the end, just like a camel. It had camel features, and resembled a camel very much, although the head was so much bigger, and similar in size to the neck. There was, the two coincided in terms of thickness, and that's all I saw was the head and the neck. And then I remembered that I had a camera, but before I could do anything with the camera, I was looking at it with the flashlight, and this is the only time I saw it turn around. It turned around towards me, and now I could see both eyes looking at me, and it was so close. We had a swimming raft at the time, and our swimming raft was in the same place that everybody puts their swimming raft. Not too far out, not too close in. And it was inside of the swimming raft. So that's how close it was. And I'd say about 40 feet away, give or take a few feet. And when it turned around towards me, I got really scared. The adrenaline was already pumping. It was looking at me, and I thought it was going to come towards me. So I moved back, and I tripped on one of these boulders, and I fell over and fell into the shale rock. Thank God I didn't hit my head on a rock. And I got up and I looked, and really all it had been doing was turning around like it had been doing all along. It wasn't coming towards me. And I just watched it for a while. And again, I was thinking, I've got a camera. So we're about 15 minutes into the sighting. It was the same sighting the whole time. The creature looking at me and just checking me out, and always keeping its eyes on me. So I thought, I'm going to try to get a picture of this. So I put on the little switch that charges the flash, which I think was a big mistake, because once the flash booted up, there was an orange light in my eye. And as the creature moved back and forth very gently, I was trying to get the best picture I could instead of just clicking away, which I should have been doing. And I finally just figured I'm just going to take a stab at it and take a picture. And when I put the camera down, it was gone. It took that opportunity. I had put the flashlight down to take the picture, and it took the opportunity. Too much was going on that was different all of a sudden. Me fumbling with the camera, me putting down the flashlight, and it decided it's time to leave. And the last I saw, it was heading south. And it was interesting to note that was about 11:15, At 11:30, down by the bridge, a woman saw the mother and the baby, and it had originally heard a huge splash. So that was kind of cool that two people saw the same exact thing on the same night. I was terrified because of the size of this creature, the look in its eye, and how close it was to me. So it was scary. I was terrified. But there was half of me that was just looking at this creature as a majestic thing that people don't see every day. Um, and I just felt like I've heard so much about Champ all my life, and here I am, blessed with the experience of actually being one of the few people that actually get to see it. And so, but there's multiple levels of this sighting. On another level, it was an interactive sighting. A lot of people see Champ go by, they see humps, they may see a neck and head, they see it go by. But in this case, this creature was literally waiting for me to come down the path and wanted to just watch me and check me out. And I feel like that was an extra special thing about this sighting. So, and you know, there are people that say they think there's only one that got stuck in the lake over time, and it's been living here over hundreds of years. To see a baby really shows what I believed in the first place, that they're mating and they're procreating, and there's a family of them at any given time. And what I saw proves that.
Resolved. A resolution protecting Champ. Whereas the Lake Champlain monsters, known as Champ, have been inhabiting the waters of Lake Champlain for many years, and whereas the existence of Champs has been documented by many of our North Country residents over the years, including both visual and audio evidence. Whereas all endangered species are entitled to protection under both federal and New York state laws, and whereas champs are apparently one of a kind, hence their protection from harm and harassment is vital. Now, therefore, be it resolved that all the waters of Lake Champlain, which adjoin Port Henry and Moriah, are hereby declared off limits to anyone who would in any way harm, harass, or destroy the creatures known as Champ.